You know who relies on trust the most? Victims. That's right. Think about a big business merger. You think when people are negotiating the brokering of, say, like the acquisition of a pharmaceutical company, that they just shake hands? They just trust what someone tells them? No. It's discernment. It requires lawyers, documents, investigations, audits, right? But you can still be successful, right? Right. So in the world of reality, reality is the only currency to broker in. Not bullshit. The problem with trust is what people do to forego the responsibility of discernment. You know, somebody that lives their life trusting and not trusting is just toggling back and forth because they imagine trust is what disappointed them. You know, they trusted someone and they got hurt. And so what do? Well, they withdraw. They stop trusting. And what's the effect of that? Well, a lack of development. Completely missing the lesson. You don't learn anything by trusting or not trusting. You stay the same because the outcome has nothing to do with you. The outcome has to do with everything else outside of you. Oh, you didn't get hurt from a lack of discernment. You got hurt from trust. So you blame your trust, not your lack of awareness or your homework or your being present or not present to the reality of who someone else is. Think about people that want to invest and that people with no experience in finance or no experience in business and no connections, no real understanding of investments or the securities market. Well, they have to trust someone because they don't know, right? And so if they were to luck out and invest in something that had this really good return so they could escape the middle class, it would just be luck. You know, if you're going to sit down with someone at Starbucks and then sign over $100,000 from a second trust deed on your house, it's a gamble, isn't it? Rich people don't do it that way, do they? No. They educate themselves. They make informed choices. They have to measure risk and reward. They know what they're getting involved in. In fact, they could look at different types of investment vehicles and discern their appetite for risk and reward. But not certain classes of people that are emotionally afflicted. People that live life from the position of victim. Victim externalizes every outcome to something outside of the control of the individual. That if you get victimized, it wasn't your fault. Let's not victim blame. It was the villain. And so I'm just going to shut down. I'm going to not put myself out there. I'm going to avoid failure. I'm going to avoid heartbreak. And so you're going to put yourself on timeout. You're going to punish yourself by disengaging. You're not going to pursue love anymore. Now, instead of learning, instead of growing, you're going to put yourself on timeout and punish yourself for the mistake of trust because you're going to blame yourself for trusting. And so instead of learning something, you invalidate yourself. Some people stay failures their whole life because they fail at something and then they quit. And then they feel guilt and shame and embarrassment for their failure. Or someone else keeps trying. Someone else, instead of feeling like a failure and feeling guilty, puts their big boy pants on and gives it another go and works and learns. The world of trust and not trust is the world of failure, victimhood, and powerlessness. Your trust is not what got you screwed. Your lack of knowledge, your lack of awareness, your lack of self-awareness, your lack of discernment, your emotional immaturity, your emotional needs. What do you think con people work on? They work on your greed. They work on your despair. They work on the fact that you feel enslaved and entombed in a life of misery where you think that you'll be happier if you're wealthy. And so they prey upon the ignorant. They want to tell you the success secrets. This is what rich people know. And we're going to help you. And so there's a whole market of get rich quick, multi-level marketing, Ponzi schemes, everything that preys upon the ignorant majority of people that rely on trust. Trust and not trust is a childhood conversation. Not trusting people is what animals do. So if you're going to use your trust as your guide in life, that's what dogs do. Look what happens when a dog is abused. It's shy when people try to pet it. It winces and reacts to kindness, misinterpreting it. So when you are afraid of love and you don't want to trust anybody, you turn everybody into a narcissist or abuser, and therefore you'll never find love because you're not looking. Because you are invalidating everybody, you are projecting and being a victim before you even go on the date. You close yourself off and you build so many walls that the only way to get through to somebody with trust issues is a good old-fashioned love bombing. The person that's afraid of failure, that's hiding out in the middle class, they need a good scam. That's right. And then they get scammed again. They become less trusting. See, that's what I learned doing mortgages, is that the successful people I talked to could qualify the information I provided. They would evaluate my integrity based on careful consideration of the facts as presented. The subprime people might have the same education. The problem was they didn't trust anybody. So when I talked to them and gave them facts, they blew it off. And guess who they went with? The person that appealed to their greed, that gave them something too good to be true. There you are with the narcissist, too good to be true. Oh, you just coincidentally met your soulmate. Wow, your soulmate, and you're perfect. And that's everything you want to hear because you don't trust anybody, and you're going to sit here, whine, cry, complain, and you're going to give them the playbook on how to scam you. How to scam you. You see, when you're dealing with trust, you're going to sit there and tell the other person all your issues, all your problems, all your vulnerabilities. Explain yourself. And then they're like, oh, I understand how you feel. And then they cater their bullshit to the bullshit that you just vomited on them. And while you're sitting there paying attention to how they make you feel as your guide, do I trust them? Do I not? How do you know whether to trust someone? How they make me feel. I feel safe. I feel secure. I feel understood. I feel heard. I feel validated. I feel validated. That's how you do love. That's how you do your life. And so what I'm warning you against is that needing to trust people suggests that you don't trust yourself and you're not developed at all. And then not trusting is the second strategy involved in that bullshit. And then somebody that goes their whole life trying to rebuild their trust and gain their confidence in humanity. I don't trust people. How could I ever trust anybody again based on what happened before? Are people that are not taking any responsibility for their life. They're just placing it onto people. Trusting somebody is giving them all the power. That if it works out, your gamble paid off. That's it. And if it doesn't work out, then you get to beat yourself up and learn nothing. And then just put yourself on timeout and watch life pass you by. Got to get up. You got to play the game. You got to be willing to have your heart broken and fail to get what you want. I'm sorry. Sorry. It's just the way it is. So you got to be willing to be accountable. You got to be willing to look at your own mistakes and culpability. And it isn't trust that lets you down. It was needing to trust. You need to trust your intuition and you need to develop it and you need to restore your empathy. Empathy is your guide. Learn about people. Study them.